Let's go.
Awesome. Hi guys, so let's jump into this stuff. Uh, One thing I want to start with is this thing, the tenure. So now I'm kind of starting to do this where I have both the charts. One side is Heikanashi, another side is the regular candles. So people who are watching my stream, during the day, they can, if they are using the regular candles, they can match up with, what am I doing here? So right here. So this thing, we've been watching the 10-year, and we are expecting the 10-year to test. There's a 10-year. And also, I was looking at Zoom. Zoom is, let's see if we can trade Zoom tomorrow. But yeah, so this is the number that we were looking for on the monthly for the 10-year. We got that number and hit that number. It is pushing above that number now. And now, again, let's go to monthly. So on both Heikanashi and regular candles, this is hitting that resistance. And most likely, what should happen is it will push above that in due course of time. But right now, it seems like it has to come back down. It has hit that number, came back down, and let's go back in history. It's the same thing. See that? It's the same exact thing. It's the same. And let's do it one chart. It's throughout the history, or not throughout the history, but majority of the thing that we can observe through the relevant data. The 200 is stopping here, right? The relevant data, they're keeping it from 1981, or that's the data we can have here. But then you see this thing, right? It has maybe one time it hit that, but majority of the time it has been under the 200, right? That's just how that's been. And now it is threatening to break that. That's one thing that is peculiar in our times. And if you were around this time making your own financial decisions, you probably know what was happening. 2018, right? Pretty much here. So this is where it started to push down, and this is where it bottomed out. And it has never challenged that 200 before, like it did in 2018. And any significance here, 2018? I don't think so. There was any significance here of this pushing up. And right now, that's what is happening. And I don't like what I'm seeing here. What I mean by that is this is not based on economic expansion. That's the problem. This is not based on economic expansion. Give me one quick second, guys. Sorry about that. It's charting, but I'm not able to see charting right now. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Let me check now. Sorry about that. So the thing, so this is what is bothering right now. Not just me, but majority of the market participants. This is what is bothering. This is not based on economic expansion. Rather, this is based on the Fed trying to pull money out of the system. That's what this is doing. So keep a close eye on this. And if you are into real estate or stuff like that, and interest rates are one of the majority of the one of the major factors of interest rates. And my understanding is that, let's say about in summer to maybe end of summer or beginning of fall, real estate market will see a slowdown. And last few slowdowns or last few recessions were not accompanied by real estate slowdowns, especially this push down, the March 2020 lows, or this contraction in the economy. This was not accompanied by what do you call that? A real estate recession. So that's one of the reasons that economy, bounced back so quick. Now the 10-year is pushing up, and my understanding is that real estate, a lot of real estate will come onto the market, and mostly it will, the buyers are drying up. So right now you don't see that, but I believe that's what is happening. I'm starting to see that, in the local markets here, but I think that effect hasn't fully taken hold around the nation. But my expectation is that will happen. And if anybody has insight into real estate markets, do let me know. Please do let me know if if anybody is into real estate and stuff like that. Prices being adjusted. Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm seeing, Ishan. Prices are definitely being adjusted. Yes, and I think that whole phenomenon of renting will take hold. I think I'm leaning that way, and rental insurance, not rental insurance. What I'm talking about, rental business. I think there are quite a few companies that do that as profession, and I think there are quite a few of those trade publicly as well. So look into that sector of so what I'm trying to say is housing or home builders short, renting or renters, that one long, those companies, and those companies, I think they have to pass on certain amount of their profits onto the shareholders, and that's where the dividend and stuff that will get very attractive right now. So keep a lookout for that. And as you see this thing push above, and here's another thing that I'm watching with respect to interest rates. You see this thing, right? This is not okay. This is definitely not okay. So this thing needs to come back down. When would it come back down? I don't know. Maybe the bank earnings will do the trick for it to push down. I don't know what event will cause it to come back down, but it has to come back down. This is not good. And let's go back to the weekly. On the left hand side, I want my Haikanashi. On this hand side, I want the regular candles. So that's the thing I'm observing here in the with the this. So I think 1 week is starting into red. I want this to come back down to at least 2.5 and correct this thing before moving up. So if this happens, where the interest rates come back down to 2.5 or something, I definitely think this will have markets rallying, and I think during April, I think it should come back down a little bit at least, so that the markets can rally. And you can see the technicals are almost exhausted to the upside, and most likely it will come back down. This should be some sort of a temporary push down on interest rates, but by and large after this we are pushing up. And now here's the other thing. I am long banks. I am long banks through FAS. I'm not sure if anybody took that, or people are long through XLF, or maybe individual banks. But look out for I think it's on Wednesday or Thursday. I think quite a few big names are have their earnings. So look for that. And BlackRock is one of those huge behemoths that you want to be looking at, and their guidance, especially, not just the earnings, their guidance. I have a few properties and pushing rents. Like everyone, won't this negatively affect HD lows? All the stocks that flourished with the mad housing, they will. It will. It will affect. Right now, the thing that is, I mean, so inflation is helping all these businesses. Inflation is helping all these businesses. So if you want to see the inflation, let me explain that thing very very simply. When you see the oil price, right, going up, uh, when I say oil price, I mean this one, US oil or Brent, you see that going up, hitting 100, 115, whatnot. Immediately you'll see a spike in the petrol, I mean, not the petrol, what do you, gas stations, right? uh, Gas stations, you will see the immediate effect of that, $4 a gallon, whatnot. Now, the price of oil has come down significantly, but the price at the gas pump is coming down like a feather. It went up like a rocket, coming down like a feather. So that's where you have the earnings. That's where you make a lot of money as a business. And that's what is going on right now. And that is boosting the EPS. And another prime example is your CMG, Chipotle Mexican Grill. They raised their prices last year, maybe around 25 cents or something. And now the inflation, of course, next year the inflation will come down, and they will not lower their prices per inflation, right? And that will go into their bottom line. So that's how that works. And that's the reason those shares are so inflated right now. And this thing, if it comes down, tech will rally. 2.5, this is the gap I'm looking at. It has left its 5 on weekly. So this is one I'm looking at. If this comes down, then tech will rally. And if this thing pushes above, most likely it won't, but because it has technicals pushing down. So let's see how that plays out. Same thing I see here, and it needs to come back down at least to this point, and all the indicators are right now overbought. So let's see how that plays out. And this thing will shoot up. Don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all. This is just a technical push down. It might come down to 2.6 to 2.5, but after that, it will take off. And some of the names that are particularly vulnerable to this, Netflix, something like a Netflix, it needs to push down into 200s, maybe upper 300s, 200s, 265 is not out of the question for Netflix. That is one of the ones that is particularly vulnerable to this push up in the interest rates. Keep an eye on that. Facebook might be one of them, but Facebook, the whole metaverse is right now sort of unknown, maybe. So if that is a proven concept, Facebook will go up. If they falter on metaverse in any way, shape, or form, this thing will push down below, probably to 160, somewhere on that. So a lot is riding on this. And I think Wednesday or Thursday, you have banks earning coming up. So keep an eye on that. And if you don't like to play a single name, look for ETF. All right, let's look into Tesla. So this side is the regular candles. This side is the Heikin-Ashi candles. So going by what I know about Heikin-Ashi candles, this came in this zone, and the expectation for it to hit is this number 994. But for now, I think the downside base case is 1010 for me, or rather 10.7, somewhere around this number, wherever this is hitting. Right, this is the base case to the downside, and to the upside, the base case is again 1058, and that is coming from this number about here, 1060, whatever this number is. So to the downside, this is the base case. To the upside, this is the base case. And if it breaks below this number 1008, or rather 21 on the daily, we will hit this number 990s, 993, whatever this number is, the mean. This will get hit. And on here, 1055 to the upside. So comparable, pretty much there, give or take $5 difference, but this is where it should hit to the upside, 1056 or close to 1060. I don't know the stock, not currently in my vocabulary. Yep. So according to this 1037, it shows as the inner Bollinger Band, 1037 to the upside, and 1010 to the downside, or 1009. So whatever this 21, this is to the downside, and I think this is to the upside, 1056. So that's how my bias is to the downside, and the other thing that according to the scan, this is an inside day, right? The current candle for the daily closed under or closed within the prior candle. This is called an inside day. Usually when this happens, the stock tends to rebound, and that's the theory, and that theory holds true. uh, as far as I have seen, that theory holds true. It is sometimes it gives you false. There's nothing guaranteed, but the fact the theory holds true most of the time. Inside day, it is called an inside day. If you scan inside day, and you can read about it uh, on Google it up and whatnot. So this is how it works inside day. When you see the candle, the current candle is closing within the previous candle. This is an inside day. Usually the stocks bounce, and most likely hitting 1055 to the downside. This is it. That's how you want to play Tesla tomorrow. And make take a note of this thing here. MACD is about to cross. So keep an eye on that. Doesn't mean that it will go down tomorrow right away, but it doesn't mean that you can ignore this. So this is a powerful signal. We all know that. We missed out that signal here to the upside. Now don't want to miss that signal to the downside. Let's see how that plays out. So this is a regular candle. So we had this red week that is showing up red uh, because it closed here, it pushed all the way till here, it came right back down here. So to the downside, 991 is still a possibility. To the upside, I don't think it's going to push all the way till here, but downside possibility is 991. Look for a bounce here. And even on the weekly, stochastics are starting to turn. Right? So if I see technicals otherwise doing something else, we will look into that. But as of where things stand, this is how it looks like. Upside is uh, upside looks better than the downside. Yeah, always use a weekly and monthly if possible, because lower time frames, majority of the time, so lower time frames, once you exhaust the lower time frames, then you'll have the higher time frames take effect immediately. And weekly, because institutional investors sit on the, they watch the weekly time frame. So this is Tesla. 1,000 is pretty much even on the weekly, even on the monthly, 1,000 is pretty much sitting there to be hit. 998. If you go by the regular candles, and I'm sure there should not be a lot of difference. And 991, somewhere on this number on the monthly. So uh, there is a good bounce, but then it has to come back after the bounce, or it might bounce back right here. And then if that breaks, we are looking for 963. And this was supposed to continue like this. And this one was not in the storyline, but it happened. Stock split, whatever the heck that was, and then it has to come back down. So this is what I'm watching. This is still intact. Right? This orange line, the brown line, whatever this line is, this is still intact. The average RSI is still pointing to the downside. This was a spike. We got the spike. Now we are starting to push back down. And I posted the levels for what I'm looking for tomorrow on for Apple, Microsoft, Boeing, and United Health. United Health is particularly interesting here because of, and if markets push down, see this thing, right? So this is particularly interesting, United Health. This, it has to fill this, even if it can't come down to 532 or whatnot. At least I'm expecting 539. So this is particularly vulnerable, at least to a few dollars, at least, at least give or take $4 to $5. So don't want to miss out on that one. So here's how I want to play this thing. So let's say if it breaks below this number, below the 5, if it breaks below the 5 here, I want to buy puts for this number, 545, whatever this number is, whatever this 8 is. This is how I want to play with this. If it breaks below the 5, I want to buy puts for 8. That's simply, if it hits here, I'll make a TSL and exit that trade. If it breaks below there, then this is where it is headed, 537, or at least 540. This is what I want to see. This is what I'm banking on, right? Simply because it is overbought, we got 1, 2 purple bars, and we are good for another purple bar, at least one more. And even if you want to look at there. So it left its 5 at 540, and here at 541.57. So whichever this thing that you follow, it has left its 5 right about here. So it has to come back down, and it is starting to come back down. So this is what I'm banking on. Even if we can get a few dollars downside, I'll take it and run away from this trade. And after this, probably we'll get a bounce here or a bounce here, and then I can go long. And United Health or whatever is in what do you call this, healthcare industry. So these guys will make a lot of money. right? So looking for, I mean, this is sort of recession proof at this moment, or rather that the yield curve doesn't affect these guys. Okay, so I'm looking for either an individual stock or whatever stock that you like in healthcare, or maybe a healthcare ETF. So yeah, this is one of the ones that are that's I think it's going to be an easy trade. The other one is I want to trade Amazon. Maybe we'll decide tomorrow. We talked about Netflix. Where's that one? Home Depot. So it ran up into this whatever this number is here. It ran up into there and came right back down. And if we can catch a push down, maybe here we can take it, and we'll look for a run up into 315. Whenever it starts to push back up, most likely it should hit 308 or whatnot. Let's look at this thing here. Right. So the same phenomenon is occurring here. Left it's AF5, so it has to come back down. This coming back down, and if it breaks below its 5, we look for a push into 8. Breaks below its 5, look for a push into 8, and look for a bounce around here. If it breaks this number here, then we'll look for a downside further. But if not, we'll look for a bounce right about here, and we want to see it push into at least this number, 315. This is what we're looking for. 315 or 317. I don't know. 317 is possible in this downturn, but this is what we're looking for. 315.71. And on the weekly, and this is one of the reasons, even though it was going down, I was okay holding this stock, because I knew, because of the technicals here, I knew it was going to go back up. That's exactly what has happened with this. And as you would expect, it hits at 100 here, and I'm expecting it to push up 315 here. And is that a same story on the daily as well? I think it's the same story on the daily as well. So this is where it's headed. And if it clears, so again, let's see here. If it pushes up above here, 311.90 or 311 even 50, I look for 313.22 and 315.80. This is how I want to play this. And this was a clear shot here because it got overbought, oversold on the daily, oversold on the weekly. So this is one of the best setups that you can have. Pushed up, and again, same thing here, 313.77 and push into 316. If the market rallies, this is one of the sure things that will run. And let's get into one more one that I want to see is this one. This is what this is why I'm looking for a push into or push up rather for Boeing. This one needs to come back up to 180. The weekly picture is still to the downside, but I think if market pushes up, it will start to come back up from its third standard deviation. It is hitting its third standard deviation, or rather, it's hitting its second standard deviation here. Okay. Oh, okay, my bad. I thought it's third standard deviation. Okay. But still, I think this is the gap that left here. And I think this will push up into its 5. It will need to go back up to catch up with its 5. And if we can catch up, it's $5. If you can get at least $2 out of that, we're good. And I'll wait for this to start pushing up here in the 1 hour, then I'll take a position. And again, all of my positions, entries and exits are based on VIX. So if VIX is hitting a solid resistance level, that's when I'll look for an entry. And most likely, I don't know, 173 area bounce. I think I put that in my note here, 173 area bounce. This is what I'm looking for. If I get this 173 area bounce, then I'll look for a push into 175, and this is where the mean is. So if the stock moves down, the mean will push down with it. So maybe 176 or 175.70 area mean will not not too out of the question if the mean can come down. So we're still don't want to play the downside right away, but if market pushes down, I will start look for a short here because you still have the third standard deviation at 168, right? And nothing is telling us here that it has it there's nothing showing strength right now, neither this one, but it will be a technical bounce. That's what I'm counting on. If it pushes down here, um, here 1 hour here, so if it pushes down right about here, we can still look for a bounce. That's my theory on that. AMD is getting very, very interesting here, and majority of the market participants are watching AMD for this one here. And AMD. Majority of the market participants are watching AMD here, and a push down from here. Market will push it down to this number, 94, whatever this number is. This is what majority of the market participants are watching for AMD. So look out for that. This will be an easy trade. This will be a very easy trade. And about here, 99. This is where you should get it first bounce. 99.60 area, first bounce. And let's see. Yeah, about that 100. So if this breaks, and then we are looking for a push into this. Oh, this one is particularly vulnerable, and everything on the monthly is starting to point down. And look for that easy trade for AMD, and it should bounce around here. It should bounce around here. Will it happen tomorrow? I don't know. I think it should bounce around here itself. If it hasn't already, it should bounce around here, 99.60 level, based on the monthly chart, and then we will start to see a push down on that to this level. It can come down here. If it breaks down here, we'll look for it to push here. Then we'll look for a bounce around here and back up into this number. That's how I want to play this. This is going to be an easy trade tomorrow. Keep a close eye on that. This is what is happening with AMD. This is the area for bounce, right? According to monthly chart, according to the daily chart, this is the area for bounce, and should be an ephemeral bounce, but should be a very good bounce. That's what I'm counting on. After that bounce, we'll look for a push down again into the 96 to 94 range. Don't expect it to come down to 92, but 96 to 94 range is very, very, very doable for AMD, and a bounce is pretty much given there. A bounce is pretty much written in sand, written in stone here, not written in sand. A bounce here is written in stone. It just like a bounce was there for, where's that thing? This one, right? So this is the bounce we experienced, I think, a couple of days back. This is the exact kind of thing will happen with AMD. But here is the advantage that we had for Goldman Sachs, and based on this, we could be pretty sure that, or rather 80% sure that there would be a bounce here. Although ephemeral, maybe it ran up 20, 12, maybe 12 to 15 points, but still, it is coming back down. And this was the reason we were looking for a bounce there. And with AMD, we don't have that advantage slightly, but we still don't have that advantage. Maybe by the time it comes back down to this number, this technicals will start to show as oversold here. So that's what we're looking for. It should be an easy trade tomorrow. And I think Nvidia, another one is Nvidia, and I think and this is the reason I was looking for a bounce in the markets tomorrow. Oh, it actually came down to 930. Wow. Oh. All right, never mind. So this happened right about here. Yeah, I should have gone. 274 is where I was looking to sell. AMD is easy. Best. Yep, best setup for the week, correct. And I think markets will bounce tomorrow. Markets are looking for a bounce tomorrow. I think chip sector, it has left its 200 about here and it left it 5 about here. I think Nvidia should also bounce just about here. Let's see if we can find Nvidia trade. 229 area bounce. Yeah, this is where it should bounce. And it will break some, it will break this. Most likely, I don't know, when the markets will push down, or if the markets are stabilized after the earnings from the banks, it will bounce. I don't think it's going to go down to 204 just yet, but I definitely think there is a room down till 204, but not just yet. I think we'll look for a bounce right about here. 228.50 area bounce is pretty much given. And I think by the time this does this, we'll have our AMD push down, and we'll look for a bounce on AMD as well. We'll look for 220 a little later. 220 is coming, by the way, for NVIDIA. We'll look for that a little later, simply because it has left its 200 here. Most likely, we'll go test this and probably then push down. Whatever bounce is coming for NVIDIA and AMD should be ephemeral. After that bounce, I think we should look for a push down. Another one I think is Disney. I was looking for that. I put out the upside and the downside both for Disney. Um, so that's 5 stocks, 6, 7 stocks that we talked about, and the broader markets as well. Want to touch base on the other thing? XIC. Want to touch base on this one. So this is what happened very clearly here. It is coming back down. So this was okay. This was pretty much given there and came right back down. And now here's what is waiting for I think IXIC 13,555. A good well, give or take. Yeah, 13. Let's round that up at 13,500, give or take. So about 200 points from here. About 200 points. Should be a bounce. But after that, I think this is where it is headed, 13,200. So this is, I think, this is where it is headed. If so, why am I looking for a bounce? Basically, it's based on what is this thing? Interest rates. So interest rates seem to be, has to take a breather. Interest rates are running, really wild. And I think that gap that we saw with that interest rates or US 10-year has left its 5 on the monthly and on the weekly. That has to come back down into its 5. And that's the reason I'm looking for a bounce here. When it comes back down, it should bounce from here. And after that, when the interest rate starts to push up, this thing needs to come back down to at least this number. We will reassess the situation after this. Will it happen tomorrow itself? No, I don't think it's going to happen tomorrow. And remember, seasonally, April is one of the best months of the year. So keep that in mind. Yeah, 13. I don't think it's going to go down to 13,400. So I think we'll go back to this number here, 13,620. Then probably 13. No, this number, 13,500. 13,500 is what I'm looking for. 13,500, and so this is the number I want to be looking at as my base case to the downside, 13,612 or 13,16, 13,600. And after that, let's reassess the situation. And it has left its gap right here. So should if it bounces into the mean again on the daily, it will get rejected here. Looks like this thing is bottoming out here. So that's why I'm looking for this is another sign that we can look for a rally tomorrow. Not a rally, bounce tomorrow, back into the mean. So about 100 points to the downside as my base case, and about 200 points or 240 points to the upside as my base case into the mean. So let's see how that plays out. It doesn't mean in a straight line. It will have its ups and downs, and yeah. And so let's look at futures. Not too terrible. Futures are doing okay. And if you're someone who follows news, I think Russia bombed their train station or something, and the world is sitting there and watching. And simply, I think the conflict has now, the media decided to, the narrative that right now is Russia is after lithium or whatnot, that I don't know what the minerals that come out of Ukraine. Russia is after that. Because China went after Congo and their minerals, and now Russia is after Ukraine and their minerals. I don't know what that is, but the major thing that you want to take away from this whole thing is that Russia and Ukraine are one of the major suppliers of wheat. Okay? And I know not many people, not many of us really care about all that stuff. I don't know if Ed is here; he can talk more about it. But Russia and Ukraine are major exporters of wheat, and Russian economy is expected to shrink by about I think 11 to 12%, and Ukrainian economy is expected to shrink about 45%. And and now if you extend that, usually they say I don't really know the stats from this, but usually they say that world will run out of food within 90 days. That's how tight that is. Not true for all of the nations equally, but if you project that the way it is within 90 days of if we don't produce food within 90 days, food shortages will turn into famine. Basically, that's what that is. And and wheat exports getting hit from Russia and Ukraine, that will have a snowball effect more than what oil prices or oil ban or coal ban will have from Russia. So keep a watch on that. Food is going to get expensive, especially wheat-based food. Keep a clean watch on that. It will happen. It's not a question of if, it will happen. All right. Any specific stocks that you guys are watching? Sunflower oil as well. From yeah, and BTC USD. 5 million chicken were murdered recently as well due to the bird flu. Oh, wow. BTC USD. Well, this is getting, this is getting stupid now. BTC USD. I think definitely not government creating its own problem. It's true. I think Bitcoin should not be I am of the view that Bitcoin should not be one of the big ones. I think this should go back to probably, I don't know, dollar or $2. This should not be the behemoth that it is now. It One reason, because it doesn't really have any practical solution. Reason two is that there are way more better coins than this stupid thing now. And the world, rather not the world, many of people many of people who bought this BTC and whatnot, they bought it for reasons that they don't really understand. The technology behind it is where the money is. The essentially the blockchain technology. Otherwise, Bitcoin as a coin, I don't see it anywhere. It should not be this inflated. Ether is much better than Bitcoin. Ether, you have multitude of currencies now, or rather coins, the way that are much, much, much better than Bitcoin. So I think this should dump basically. Uh, I don't know. This is kind of getting to a point where it is not making any sense to pay $40,000 for a Bitcoin. But otherwise, technically speaking, this is what it needs to hit 4171, and probably a ephemeral bounce somewhere around here. Yeah, 41. Yeah, somewhere, whatever this number is, it should hit that and ephemeral bounce there. Yep. If BTC falls, everything will fall alongside. That is true. Because a lot of capital is tied into Bitcoin, and anything that has capital tied into it, it will affect the entire financial markets. And I think, yeah, this is where it should bounce somewhere around here, 41.5. This will be some sort of an ephemeral bounce here. And after that ephemeral bounce, I am expecting it to push down into this number, 48, 40,800. Yeah, it should bounce somewhere around here. So it should bounce somewhere around here, 41.5 or something like that. And after that bounce, expecting that bounce to be an ephemeral bounce, most likely will run into 42.7 or something like that. And after that, I think it will push back down to this number again, 40.80. That's what I think of BTC. Hi. Any particular stocks that you guys are watching? Not my if you called out in year or two. Yeah. SPX, we didn't go SPX. SPX. hmm, This did not get hit before 45. Stop 44.74. Okay. Let's see. Next on the daily. So we got this number, what we are looking for to the downside, right? We got the mean ahead of mean, and we got this number here. And I think on Friday we were still looking for this number here, but we didn't get that quite. 44.74 was the lows of the day. It didn't quite get there. So I am still expecting to the downside. Uh, the base case should be 44.72. And to the upside, I think the base case should be 45.08. Still in the same range, but if we clear that range, 45.05, and obviously a test of 45.15 will come into effect. So if 45.09, whatever this clears here, then we will look to, so this should be my base case to the upside. Extend this line here, and it is coinciding with the 5 again, 45.09, 45.09. Yeah, this is my base case to the upside, and this is my base case to, where is that? This is my base case to the downside, 44.72. 44.80, I'm not looking for that. This will be the deciding factor. If it breaks below 44.91 to 44.90, then we're going to go test this number 44.80. Might be an ephemeral bounce there, then we'll push down into this number 44.70. And if it breaks down there, it should push into 44.64. Not looking for this to happen right away, maybe a little later, but then the push up is much more plausible case here right now as we speak. It might change tomorrow. I don't know that, but for now, as where things stand, I think a test of 45.08 will happen, or 45.09. If it clears there, it will hit the 8. Might be an ephemeral, or rather a breather here around 45.15 or something, then a push into its 100, 45.33. This is how it should proceed tomorrow. Of course, we will see how the futures will open, or rather, futures will fare in the overnight session. But barring anything, barring anything other than that, I'm looking for a push up, then push back down, and it has to come back down. The markets will need to come back down. All right, this is crossing over here, so might be a ephemeral push up, and if it can clear this number, there will be a lot of friction from this range to this range. So 45.08 all throughout 45.15 to 16, there will be a lot of friction around these lines. And if it can clear here, then we'll push into this number 45.33 to 45.35. That's what I'm seeing here, and a certain breather here. And this breather most likely will push a little deeper. So we will reassess the situation here to the upside, and if it pushes down here, we'll reassess the situation, rather here. We will reassess the situation rather here, 44.70s. So that's how I want to play SPX tomorrow. Pushing up, this thing is still pointing down. This week will be an interesting week, and rather than technicals, I think bank earnings will play an important role here, and rather than earnings, the guidance will play a crucial role here for SPX and rather the overall markets. And the VIX, I think. So this is what we were looking for VIX to do. It did that and pushed up into this number. Same thing, expecting this to do now. Push up into its 200 now. Pushed up, came right back down, and on the monthly, it hits at 200 to a T and started to push up. So let's see, VIX. This is what VIX is doing. And again, I'm expecting VIX to push into this number here, 23.14. And let's see how it plays out here. And after, it should test here, come back down. And after that push back down, I think it will pierce this number. It will hit this number. It will pierce this number, and it will go about around 24.60. if the bank earnings or guidance comes otherwise. Till then, this is the range that we want to play VIX within, about 23.17 or whatnot here to here, whatever the current number is, 21.50. So basically, what is it? Here, this number, 2030, all the way till here. Here. I mean, 2391, and to the upside, to the downside, 2026. This is the range that you want to play VIX within. And if it clears this number and pierces above here, then we will see how we want to play this. But for now, this is the range I want to be playing in. If it breaks down below this, and obviously a test of this, the markets will be in a rally mode if it breaks below its 200. Let's watch for that. Last time, I think it bounced right off of this number here. Let's watch for that. The one is, where's that? UPST. So we were looking for a downside on UPST. I think we got that. I was not in this trade, but it was a clear, nice trade. The downside. And where's that? Not here. Not here. Yep. Looking for a push 93.03 and then into 94.98. And here's the reason I was looking at UPST. Where did the super trend go? There was a super trend line here. I'm looking at the correct stock. Yeah. Oh, there was supposed to be a super trend line somewhere around here, and I kind of lost that line. I don't know if I'm seeing things these days. Nope. All right. So I guess no, I am pretty sure I saw that super trend line somewhere on some. I can find it now. I'm pretty certain I saw it somewhere. Maybe it was this. No. But UPST looks like a good bounce. I think I saw that line, but seems like I did not. There was a super trend line somewhere around here. But look for a bounce on UPST as well. Looking to get to maybe nice daily there. Okay. Now it makes sense. This is daily. Okay. Now it makes sense. So this is where we're looking for a bounce for UPST. 87 something. This is first bounce should come around 89 or something. And we're looking for a bounce into 87.90. If it breaks here, go nuts shorting this thing. If it breaks below here, go nuts shorting this thing into 79 or something. Look for a bounce around here, 89. If that breaks 87, whatever this number is, if this breaks, this is where it is headed. I think most likely the chances are it will bounce before pushing down. All right, what's your watch list? What's on your watch list? Anybody has a watch list? SPY. Nice. We trade SPY every single day, so that's cool. Yeah, me too. Costco. Yeah, that was a good one. Boring, but not boring. Yeah, we discussed AMD. We should be good with AMD tomorrow. Let's see Costco. Costco is a nice one. Costco is a nice one. I think Costco will have one more good day before pushing down. Costco will have one more good day before pushing down. I read that as a little different, but yeah, let's. I want to get involved in pennies too. So this is why I'm saying Costco will have just one more good day, probably one more good session, and it has to come back down. I was watching Costco. I know. And this is what I've been charting the whole day today, and good setups. But yeah, so if this comes down, here's what I'm watching: 591 for Costco, and this is what I want to do with Costco, right? And here you can look for a bounce. If it breaks below that, this is where it is headed. And on the higher time frames as well, that's it's showing the same thing. And this is how exactly it works. And this is the correct way of looking at things. The 1 hour time frame gets overbought, comes right back down five, hit eight, then now it should hit this mean on the 1 hour. This is the right way of how technicals should behave. And this looks solid to hit this number here and a bounce here on 598 or whatever this number is. It should bounce around here between this range 597.50 to 598 range. It should bounce somewhere on this range. After that bounce, I think it should come back down into this number 592. And it's a very healthy thing to come back down and test its 8 as well. Just like here it did, left its 5, came right back into 5, bounced, came right back into its 8. And the thing that you want to notice here is that technicals are putting up to the price. Technicals are pulling up to the price. Same exact thing, left 5, hit its 5, hit its 8. By the time it is hitting its 8, the technicals are pulling up. The technicals are not moving down. So that's a good thing. That's a bullish sign of the market or the stock. Keeps pushing up, keeps pushing up. Now this time, I don't know if it can, hold on to that same pattern again. If it hits there and there, then I think it should come back down to its mean. It hasn't touched its mean in a long while, so that expecting this thing to come back down. Um, I don't know if the bank earnings are good, nothing will come back down. I think it will keep pushing up. If the bank earnings are bad or guidance is bad, this is where it has to come back down into 566. Doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow, but the expectations are, or the technicals, per the technicals, this is what needs to happen. Earnings are solid still. So this whole cohort is running, right? So if you look at this guy and same thing, and look for a push down into 152 whenever that will happen. And then after that, you see it left its 5 here, somewhere around here. So it has to come back into its 5 at some point in time. Maybe, might not happen tomorrow, but it needs to happen at some point in time. Overbought, clearly overbought, left its 5. See that? It has to come back down to its 5. The same thing needs to happen here as well. So maybe one more good day, then it is making a doji. It has to come back down and touch its 5 and push again, if it can. I wouldn't be surprised if I see the same kind of chart with target. Wow, this has room to the upside. Look for a push above 236. But T, it is hitting 236. If it pushes above here, look for upside. And at this point, I think I like Target better than Walmart. Okay, if it clears here, then it is going to push into this number. about here, 244. If it can clear this number here, I think it has room up till 244. And again, the entries and exits should be based on VIX. It should never be willy-nilly. Just because it is crossing here doesn't mean you could take a trade based on VIX. Okay, and what else? AMD, we did that. Actually, I think you're playing penis with this week. That's what I read, Nate. How do you utilize tick when trading? Good one. This is a very good one. Okay, so this is where things get interesting. Come on. So let's see. Tick. So this is the one you want to view. And by the way, remember, tick. So this tick that I'm using, this is for ticker deck. What the heck? This tick, I'm using this for NYSE cumulative tick, and there is a tick for every other major index or every other major, this thing. You'll have Nasdaq tick as well. So if you're interested in that, look for that one as well. So there has to be another tick for Nasdaq, combined tick, yeah, Amex, Dow Jones tick. This is the Nasdaq tick, whatnot. Okay. So, but majority of the time, this is what people follow. So I go with that. And then you can put up this guy here. And then if you want, you can do this here. So if you're into scalping, this is how you want to go about things. And let's see, 9:30, right? So this is when the markets open. And as soon as the markets are open, I am watching this guy. Tick is pushing up, tick is pushing up, and this is VIX. VIX is pushing up. Obviously, the tick will be pushing down, and obviously, tick is pushing down. Now, okay. So obviously, tick is pushing down. Obviously, VIX is pushing up. No surprises here, right? And now you are looking at the markets. Obviously, the markets are also pushing down somewhere around here. Now, the moment you see this happening, is stabilizing. That's what you hear me call out. Tick is stabilizing. This is what I mean by that. Doesn't mean that the market is slowing down. 1950, 19, whatever, 10 here, 10. This is starting to slow down. This is starting to slow down. And obviously, this is starting to come down. See that? Everything is correlated. So this is how you want to play the markets. And it makes super sense to simply keep these charts in front of you, and all of these charts needs to follow technicals, and that is what exactly you see happening. It's hitting there, it's coming back down, and I'm pretty sure there is a good enough reason for it to hit here and push up. And for that reason, we look for the higher time frames. So you know what is going to happen on the higher time frames. It's going to hit one of those major moving averages and starts to push back up, and you take that as a cue, and you look for a stabilizing pattern here. It is hitting this number. It is obviously a bounce point. You'll go look for that. It is starting to stabilize and push up, and this is coming down, and this is pushing up. So this is how you want to trade the markets, especially if you're into scalping. This is how exactly you want to do anything. If you're doing beyond this or besides this, the results might not be consistent. Hope this makes sense. And if you are someone who trades futures, I don't know if I don't know anybody who trades futures here, but if you are somebody who's looking to get into futures and stuff like that, the contracts on futures, the options on futures contracts work a little different. I'm using that language for a reason. So options on futures contracts work a little different rather than what you see in the markets. Okay, there's something called tick. There's something called points. So those are different, and those are different for different what do you call indices. So if anybody is looking to go into options, have that in mind. It's a leverage product basically. It's leverage. It is highly leveraged. So keep that in mind before if you are looking to venture into futures. So for example, if you're looking to if you're looking at futures, yes, right. So those the tick for that is 12.5 dollars. That's the tick for that. So keep that in mind. And if you're trading Nasdaq futures, I think the tick is 5. So keep that in mind. So for and the point is I think 0.25 or quarter of a point. So if you're looking to move 1 point on futures, that would be 5 into 4. That's how you calculate that. It's a little different. All right. So if you guys don't have any watch list that you want to discuss, let's call it a night and let's get into this thing tomorrow again. All right, Alexa. I don't know why this thing does this, but yeah.